Hello everyone, I'm Wendy De Rosa, the founder of the School of Intuitive Studies, and this video is a parent's toolkit on how to support your overly sensitive, highly sensitive child. And I'm coming to you with this information from my own years of looking at adults and studying their energy system and where their energy blockages have been when they were children. So really looking at the inner child. I'm also coming to you with this information from being a parent myself and having a child, and also with working with children who are coming into this world to teach us a lot. So there's a lot of information to understand and about the empathic and sensitive and intuitive child. And I just wanted to say that this information I'm giving you is specifically an energetic and / spiritual approach. Now, I don't want to negate the fact that there could be other angles to look at around your own child's sensitivity levels, some of which might have to do with diet and hidden allergies in their system. It's always worth going to a doctor to make sure that there isn't something that the system is rejecting and therefore not able to hold boundaries appropriately, or there might be some reaction going on in the system that's making them highly sensitive. So definitely please look into that. Again, if there's a child who is highly sensitive, but also there's processing disorders and issues there, you want to make sure you're treating your child on that level and getting that kind of support. Yet I'm going to speak to a piece of that from the energetic perspective. Okay, so first of all, and I have my notes here, so I'll be referencing my notes. The first thing to understand here is that for a highly sensitive child, there's actually highly sensitive upper chakras and highly sensitive lower chakras. The chakra system is very, very important for our functioning in the world and for really understanding what's going on an energetic level in the body. It's actually everything. I mean, that we know and understand the chakras is just as vital as understanding, the organ of the heart and what it does, and the liver and the kidneys, etc. I mean, these are very, very important power centers to understand in your body, because they're related to these intuitive, not seen, hidden, under the table type experiences that we're having. Basically, our sensitivity, it's related to these power centers in the body. So the lower three chakras in the energetic system have to do with our ego and our human development in the world. So they record, or they hold all of our humanness, our development. Root chakra is our foundation, our trust, our safety, our ability to ground and be in our body, our ability to trust our surroundings and our environment, and to be able to be relatable to people. That's our root chakra, that people trust us and we trust them and we trust ourselves and we belong here, in this body. So that's the root chakra. Second chakra for a child is about their playfulness and their creative and their ability to be innocent and spontaneity. It's their sweetness. It's like their most delicate flower in the body, and they can be so soft and gentle and sweet, that newness of a newborn, and the innocence of a child. That's very much our second chakra power developing. For a child, the solar plexus is the ego. That's about it's mine, it's me, no, that's mine, that's mine. It's all about being able to feel and navigate through the world through instinct. And that's the child's developmental aspect of the third chakra. As we grow, as children grow, these chakras actually start to evolve as well, according to the developmental stage of a child. So for example, if you have a teenager and your teenager is in their solar plexus developing years, which means they're somewhere between 11, 12, and we'll say 17 give or take, a couple years. Children are coming in so advanced these days that they could, come into it earlier. But solar plexus development years is the pubescent years. It's like figuring out who you are in your clique, in your community and your friends, and there's sometimes it's the jocks and the theater people, and hopefully it's not that way. Hopefully people are friends are evolving so that they intermingle. But it's how a child learns how to find themselves in relation to their social environment. That's very much solar plexus. And unfortunately, we go through our ego blows and our ego wounds during those years, and that helps us. Those are pains, wounds we have to, as parents, help our child navigate through so that they can, again, find themselves, find their center in their body. So I'm just speaking to these chakras from the perspective of being a child and growing up as a child. The upper chakras are also present, obviously, for children as well. And the heart chakra, many children are just in their hearts. Again, that's their innocence. They're open, they're kind, they're loving. They're untainted by the world until they have to, progress in society. And they learn their boundaries, and they learn how to be with people either from their hearts, or they learn rejection, and they learn sadness, and they learn being left out, and they learn things that point them to grief and processing grief in the heart. Then their throat chakra, which is completely their expression of themselves and their heart and their truth. Their third eye center, as a child developing, is their ideas and their innovation and their brilliance and their intelligence. That would be third eye in relation to children. And then their crown chakra would be opening to their divine connection. So if they're raised with spirituality in their life, that nurtures the crown chakra. If they're not, if they don't have spirituality in their life, there's actually ways to engage spirituality from the perspective of their soul. You can find tools and ways to speak to children that give them a sense of their their spiritual connection, and that really conversation blurs into your spirituality. How do you speak about when the dog dies, or grandma passes away, or we have to, when those types of life experiences happen, it does open up the conversation about what's after life, what's spirituality. So it depends on your where you are in your life and in your parenting. There's no right or wrong, but the crown chakra is an aspect of spirituality for a child. I'm going to talk about that as in terms of tools here in a minute. So for a highly sensitive child who comes into this world already sensitive, there's a way that we've all come into this world sensitive, and maybe we didn't get the teachings or the trainings on how to be with that as a child, so we developed certain coping mechanisms, such as I have to shut myself down, or I'm not allowed to cry, I'm not allowed to be sensitive. Therefore, I shut myself down, and I have to now navigate my surroundings and make sure I'm paying attention to what everybody else needs on the emotional level. So now I'm caretaking everybody emotionally, but not necessarily feeling my feelings. That pattern sets itself up for a lifetime of overabsorption. That's just what happens if we don't give ourselves that permission to feel the feelings. And then we learn to disconnect from our lower body, which then heightens our own, our own upper chakras. It creates too much mental energy, too much disconnection from our body, perhaps too much anxiety, etc., etc. So for children, now that they've come into this world sensitive, and your child might also be on the forefront of a curve. And the curve is that we are progressing, we are evolving in consciousness as as a species. And what that means is that there may need to be a deconstruction in the way education is taught, or the way, the structure of school is happening. And the child, not every child fits into every box that's, been created. That your child might be coming into this world with particular needs that's requiring us as parents to look at that need, look at who they are, and figure out, how am I going to accommodate, my child? Because the truth is, and I know this because I'm on the other end. I'm on the end of hearing from lots of parents whose children are actually in similar places. And so if, I think in the ideal, I'm sort of in the collective world, if everybody could get together, there would be definitely a school for all of these children, and I'm sure there may be some in your community that already are on the progressive path here and noticing sensitivity and energy, the energetics of a child and some of their developmental needs. So when a child comes in sensitive, I'm going to talk about this in two different aspects of sensitivity. There's upper chakra sensitivity and there's lower chakra sensitivity, or basically second and third chakra sensitivity. If your child is empathic, meaning if your child feels the emotions of others and has emotional releases, they cry easily, they feel for others, they might want to go give a hug to a friend who's crying. They may want to, they may have a big reaction to loss or to transitions or to feeling, that they are very sensitive and aware. They're taking in everything that's going on around them. Their eyes are open and they're empathically absorbing, and they may actually try to shut down a little bit sometimes. That empathic intuitive sense is second and third chakra areas of the body. So they may be highly creative. They also may be, very, like I said, very empathic, feeling everything that's going on around them. And they also may have their push. They might need to be in isolation sometimes in their own space. And to an empathic child who's feeling everything around them, it's very, very important that they, number one, that they have creative outlets, that they have a way to express themselves. And that can be through art, it can be through music or dance or something that allows them to be in expression or playfulness about what they're feeling. They're in their innocence about it. They can really express themselves in some way. And that can be, again, some physical movement. It also can be an artistic expression. This is very, very healthy for the second chakra area of the body, and for them to be able to feel their feeling and have their feeling, but also be able to move through the feeling. Secondly, is that they can have their feeling, that you as a parent know that it's okay for the child to have their feeling, and that sometimes, well, more than sometimes, most of the time, it's important to give voice to that feeling. I notice you're feeling sad right now. I notice that you're really angry. You are really angry. And the child can say, yes, I am really angry. We're talking about younger children at this point. That they can give a voice to the emotion that they're feeling, and that they can have that feeling, that they're not being punished for having a feeling. It's actually okay for them. And what that does for the parent is it increases your capacity to be able to hold emotions, hold your child in their messiness. At the same time, it's teaching the child that it's okay for them to have the feeling, and their mom or dad can handle it. That they can feel safe. That builds safety and trust for the child. So that's one aspect or two aspects for the intuitive child, or the empathic child, is that they can feel what's going on for them. Now, the other here is that they they need to also understand boundaries. So they do need to know what's theirs and what isn't theirs. And sometimes that is doesn't really start to happen until they maybe it's 5, maybe it's 6, maybe it's 7. It's giving them the information, and they may not understand what to do with it early on, but as they grow and evolve, they will. That's mommy's sadness. That's not for you. This is mommy's. Mommy might be upset. Daddy might be mad or sad right now, but daddy's okay. Mommy's okay. We're okay. That's not yours. That the parent is speaking the boundary for the child on the empathic level. You can say that too about other peers. If so and so's mad, that's not for you. They're mad. You didn't do anything wrong. You're just voicing the boundaries and the distinctions and separations. That's very important for an empathic, intuitive child. Also, I have the other, and this is a bit of a tool. I'm going to go over tools here shortly. Is that your child learns how to blow out emotions, meaning, or breathe through them. So I might say, if my child's young right now, so I might say to my child who had a bad dream, where she says, Mom, I'm really scared of the dark, and I had this bad dream, and I'm scared of the dark. And I will say to her, okay, let's blow it out. Let's take some deep breaths into where you feel it in your body, and let's blow it out. Just blow it out. And then I will give her a make-believe persona or archetype for her to feel that she is. Like she might have characters. She likes Wonder Woman, or she likes the Paw Patrol. So I might say, okay, who you're going to be Wonder Woman right now. I just want you to punch out all the bad guys, and it's what I'm doing is I'm not encouraging her to fight, but I'm giving her the tools to be able to recognize that she is not powerless in this situation. She can be a ninja. She likes to be a ninja. I'm going to ninja them, Mom. Ninja, Mom. Go ahead, Lucci. Ninja them. And what it does is I'm not saying what she's experiencing is wrong. I'm not telling her she's not having the experience she's having, because she is. She's having that experience. It's very real to her. So I'm getting to her level and saying, okay, let's ninja them. So giving her a tool to be able to punch out, work out, be with. If there's a monster in the closet, what should we do with the monster in the closet? And give her the aspect of your child, a way to release the energy in the space or in her or his subconscious. You're just creating empowerment as opposed to disempowerment around energy. This is foundational. So if your child is older, they've reached the pubescent years, they've reached years where they've developed now in the energetic system. What this means is that they've moved out of the nest a little bit more than a 5-year-old, or a 6-year-old. They're older than 7. They've started to move out of the nest. Maybe they're 10 and going into their pubescent years. They've developed their own bonds and relationships, and the child is very empathic and feeling physically ill from so much energy around them. And what's first and foremost, and this is difficult to say this as a parent-child dynamic, but it's to look at your own. It's to look at where have you empathically merged with your child in a way that your child is now learning to empathically merge with others. So what's important here as a parent is that we, as parents, that umbilical cord is getting further out. Obviously I'm just speaking that metaphorically. The child is moving out further from the nest, and maybe we're talking like inches, not that far. I mean, they're still children and they're under your care, they're under the home, under the roof. So at this point, it's a matter of saying, and at any given point, we have to have these rites of passage sometimes to assess my child is now this age. Now it's time to work with it, work with our bonding in a different way. So now, to me as a parent, I'm going to pull my energy back into my body. All the ways that I have reached out, I have overly parented, I have poured out so much of myself. Now, I'll say this, I'm a parent too, and I'm in all of this with you. Nothing I'm saying is about wronging parenting. There will be a time when I'm going to need to pull back how much I've helicoptered, so I'm right there with you. So but it's important that we as parents start to establish our own identities so that our children can start to establish their own energetic boundaries. And that means that we as parents pull our solar plexus energy back in, and we start grounding more deeply into ourself, into who we are, and we do our work in our own body on an energetic level to help clear out the lower chakras so that we are able to embody and ground ourselves. I have countless other videos and courses on that subject, so you are welcome to go to my website to learn more about that piece. But for now, your child then, at this point, if they are at the point where they've taken on so much energy and they're 13, 14, 15, they may actually need to be energetically cleared. They may need to see a healer or get some Reiki. Reiki is very gentle, and start to clear out their body and have some energetic releases and detoxes. However, you can also start guiding them to clearing out themselves. They can start breathing into where in their body they feel the pain, or they feel the overwhelm, or they feel too open, or they feel the void. Whatever's there, breathe into it. Start letting energy release out of your gut or down your grounding cord. Give them a grounding cord. Imagine that image for them. You can do this for them, or you can tell them if they're at that age that they can work with this information to release this energy out through their solar plexus area. So we're detoxing to help them find their center. And so finding their center is going to be about them feeling themselves. What's true for you? What is going on for you, and feeling you, not feeling what so-and-so needs and everybody needs. That it's about holding your personal power in your body. So one image that can be very, very helpful is just visualizing a very beautiful golden sun in the belly. It's not an open funnel to the world. It's a golden sun. It's a sphere. It's a power center that's contained in the solar plexus region between the navel and the diaphragm. It's going to be very important for an overly empathic, older child. So I would say teenage years or preteen. So now I'm going to talk about the highly sensitive or highly developed upper chakra intuitive. So this intuitive child is going to be some game changer in some way. They are here to break the system a little bit. So they may be an innovator, they may be a genius, they may be highly, highly intelligent, they may be ahead of the curve in terms of guiding society, they may be a consciousness leader. And as a child, they're not developed into that so much. Maybe they are, but they also are learning how to survive in a system that's already set for them. And some of these children can definitely be on the autism spectrum. Some of these children can have processing, quote unquote, disorders. Some of them can have, if your child falls in either of those categories, you might have had some testing done. From an intuitive and energetic perspective, it means that they have a very highly developed third eye, sixth chakra area of their body. and a lot of their prana is in that area. It also could be in the throat, and that governs the eyes, so visionary, visualizations, high vision. It also can govern their hearing, that they hear things, that they receive messages. They might have a connection to the other side. They might be, remembering some things from their past life. They also may be very developed here verbally. They might be very verbal children, ahead of the curve on linguistics. And sometimes not. Sometimes they're actually more developed in the backside of the throat chakra and not so verbal in the throat and the front of the throat. It doesn't mean they're not, they aren't actually operating from clear throat chakra consciousness. They might just actually have a deeply, highly intuitive listening going on in the backside of the throat chakra. So some of these children who are more of the upper chakra intuitives, that means that they might have come in with a lot of energy in the upper half of their body. You might notice pronounced foreheads or just a lot of activity going on in the mind. They're very smart and intelligent, and they might not necessarily be as connected to their root chakra or the empathy, the empathic, the second and third chakras. They may actually be highly open in the third chakra, which eventually can cause digestive issues energetically. Sometimes they say, with kids who might have processing disorders or, autistic, that it's great to go on a gluten-free diet. Follow that if that feels right for you and your child. But on an energetic level, it's the mind and the brain, and the neurons relate to the gut. So the solar plexus governs the gut, and when the root chakra is compromised, the root chakra is contracted, the child comes in highly developed up here, but not so developed in the root chakra, their solar plexus is going to blow open. And it blows open to help them stabilize in the world. They have to cord somehow. They have to feel through their instincts. The trust element isn't completely there, so they've got to figure out how to project, how to cord, how to find their way on that solar plexus area or region of the body. So what's really important is that as a parent of a child who might be highly developed up here and noticing that food sensitivities and energetic sensitivities in the gut, that you do find ways to help them settle in their body, ground into themselves, feel themselves in their body. It would be good to do any kind of, kids yoga would be amazing for highly developed kids who are highly upper chakra developed. To get them to feel their feet, to feel their legs. Perhaps they, engage in a sport or a physical activity that might be unique to them. It's not forcing them into something that's not them. But maybe there is something out there that they will really enjoy and like, and brings them into their body more. So these are aspects of these are ways to work with the innovator, the highly developed upper chakra child. The other I have two more points about this particular sensitive child. One is to really emphasize to them their feelings, emphasize to them, give them empathy. I'll show them empathy. You might have to demonstrate empathy or literally teach them empathy by saying things like, wow, when you did that, did you notice her face? She doesn't really like that. When you look at her face, does she look happy that you took her toy away? So we start, you start showing them, demonstrating empathy, or wow, ow, that doesn't feel good to me. Does that feel good to you? And direct them to their own, connecting their actions to what might be, let me say that specifically, directing their acting out towards, what the feeling might be, or as a consequence or an impact from that acting out. So being able, and you might have your own tools, you might have read a ton of parenting books, but this is very, very important for the child who's highly sensitive up in these upper chakras, is that whatever your tools are for teaching empathy and connection to feelings, that you can research more of that, or you do, apply those tools. The last piece that I wanted to mention here is, and I said this earlier in the beginning, but you might need to advocate for this type of child, for your child who is developed up here, because they might be, like I said, they might be ahead of the curve. They might be a child who's come into this world to teach you. And you might need to go into some intuitive listening to be able to really hear where they are and what they need. So intuitive listening is listening into the backside of your throat chakra and leaning back into your meditation and your divine connection and listening to your child. And listening to the divine, listening to your messages around what your child is really needing, because it might be that a new school needs to be created, or there's a homeschool group, or there's something that's outside the regular structure. You may, if your child's been in grade school already, and you may have already figured this out, that your child does need to be in a specialized situation. And that's okay. As more you're meeting your child where your child is, the more you're going to help them embody who they are and embody their gifts. So these are ways to be with your highly sensitive child, and just making that distinction between the highly developed upper chakra intuitive child and the highly developed lower chakra or second and third chakra intuitive child. All of which, so I'm going to give you some tools to work with on how to work with your child, whether or not they're either or both. So first of all, the root chakra and grounding is going to be important for an intuitive child. Ground them. So here's what you can do, whether you're with your child and you can talk to your child about this, or you do this work on your own in your own visualization or sensing for your child. If your child's really young, you do this for your child. So first of all, it's to ground them. So visualize their grounding cord for them. And this is true if you actually have a teenage child who is at school or somewhere, you really want to help them somehow. Visualize their grounding cord. It never, ever, ever hurts anybody to have a grounding cord. It only helps people. So if you can visualize their grounding cord is nice and snug around their waistline, or well, it can be around their waistline. It's around their hips, but you can hike it up to their waistline and allow that grounding cord to go down through the earth. And just envision that all of their energy is grounding into their body, that their spirit and their soul is grounding, and that they are grounding into themselves. And you're visualizing their grounding cord, and any energy that's been flying around or is, not theirs, you're going to just envision that the grounding cord allows all of their energy to come into their center, into their body. It's gravitated towards the midline of their body. So give them a grounding cord. Number 2, clear their aura. You can actually, if it feels like they've enmeshed with other friends or other people, you can do this for them. You can send everybody's energy back to them. If it feels like, wow, I think my child's picked up some negative energy, I can't figure out where, you don't need to know where. Just clear their aura. You can do so by closing your eyes And just imagine that you're going to take their, I use my hands. I use my hand gesture. You can do this through your mind, or you can do what I'm doing, which is that you imagine just if my child is in front of me in this image, I am clearing the energy all the way around my child. I'm sending it down the grounding cord, or I put it in a bubble and send it out of myself, out of the child's field. So you can give it to an angel, you can send it up to the light, you can just give it back to them. Or excuse me, give it back to the light. But you're clearing the auric field. Just dust it off, clear it off, and just acknowledge that they have this big, beautiful aura. Number 3, shower them with divine light. So this feeds into the beginning when I was talking about the spiritual connection. So, your spiritual connection is your spiritual connection. Your child's spiritual connection is your child's spiritual connection. We grow up in families where we influence the child's spiritual connection. That is religion. I mean, that is what happens. So what I'm speaking about here is not any sort of denomination or anything. It's pure spiritual connection, pure light. So what you're doing here in showering them with light is very simply asking for grace, or I use the word grace. We can use the word divine love. You can use the word shower from God. You can use the word, universal, clear, clean flow. Whatever word works for you. I wouldn't even get too complicated around it. Just feel what feels right for you. Shower through their energy. Call for a beautiful shower of light to shower them off. Shower them off from anything that is not theirs or negative or doesn't serve them. And that invites their spirit again to ground and center in their body. So that's number 3, is to give them a shower of light. And lastly, number 4 is to ask angels to protect them. They can and will, if you ask your angels to surround them with light, ask their angels, to surround them with light. They most likely already are. Angels are around us. But it can be really helpful for a parent to feel, when you hit that feeling of, I'm helpless. I don't know what to do. That gets to a point where the parent can only do what the parent can do. And then it's, they have to figure out their way. And so angels can be really helpful in their path. So you can send them angels. You can ask their angels to guide and protect them with energy around their body, but ask the angels to really help them embody themselves, to be true to themselves, to be who they're here to be. That deeper work is what will help them embody, and it will help them ground, and it will help them manifest who they're here to be. So I hope this was helpful in how to work with highly sensitive children. I feel like this is kind of a sliver of a big conversation. There's a lot to say around this topic, and you might even research more and find out more, which obviously I always encourage you to continue to learn. Our children teach us. They are teaching us to get stronger and to learn and to become more evolved. And that these highly sensitive children are a wave of a new generation, and they're coming in with new energy. They're coming in with new consciousness. They are the consciousness that's going to evolve this planet. So how do we as parents see that, listen to that, nurture them in that? It doesn't always have to be, well, I did it this way, so I want my child to do it this way. That might not be appropriate anymore. I don't want to say it's not. Maybe it is appropriate in some situations, but just really, really feel into that for yourself. Who is my child really? Who are they here to be? And can I really listen to what they need or feel into that for myself? It has us strengthen our intuition as parents and really look at that part of us that also needs to develop. So I hope this was helpful. And if you have any questions on this or I'm always interested in learning what people want to learn in terms of topics for these types of videos. I love answering the questions. Sometimes as a parent, it's finding the time to do it. I'm sure you can relate. But I'm always interested in hearing about that. And you can go to my website, School of Intuitive Studies. You can welcome to submit that information on a contact form. And I look forward to connecting again. I hope this was helpful. You're welcome to be on my email list also through my website. Many blessings to you, and I wish you blessings and love.